I wanted to record this with my actual voice, but I really couldn't go a few seconds without my voice going out, so you'll have to deal with the text-to-speech system. I'll do my best to make the emphasized words louder and put them on screen to make my tone less confusing. When my About Furries project was just taken down, I sent ScratchTeam an email asking what about it was inappropriate because it was just a bunch of drawings of furries and quadruped animals. 7 days later, they never responded. I'm guessing they blocked my email again. I've done that before with my main email. I contacted them again and sent a ban appeal on my professional theater email because I wasn't about to make a new email just to learn why Scratch hated furries so much. A week after I sent an appeal, Brian answered me. To be honest, I didn't think anyone but Johnny ran the emails. But anyway, Brian claims that I had been sent many notifications about inappropriate behavior during your time at Scratch for a wide variety of content and behavior issues, many of those violations occurring repeatedly. Notifications? You mean a year's worth of warnings and bans that were all due to mass reporting and being banned for ScratchTeam themselves resharing my projects? Does he even have access to my warnings? I had screenshotted every single one since June 2023 because I realized they were getting more and more ridiculous. And almost every single one was a mass report message or ScratchTeam saying they restored a project because it wasn't inappropriate but then banning me immediately after. I wasn't having a behavior problem. I was minding my own business and my projects kept being taken down and I was being banned for solely existing. Anytime I shared a project, it would go on trending and it would be mass reported and I'd be banned. Then when it was restored by ScratchTeam, it would go back on trending and it would be mass reported and I'd be banned. Ryan claims that Pigeon wasn't problematic because she was a furry. He says about Pigeon, you acknowledged yourself as being inappropriate for a children's website elsewhere. Wait, elsewhere? Elsewhere? What do you mean you're punishing me based on things said elsewhere? Whatever happened to if someone engages in inappropriate activity outside the Scratch website, then they won't get banned from Scratch? Direct quote from former Scratch team member Zachary. Years ago, I was bullied on a Discord server some Scratchers made. I won't say who they were because I forgive them because we were all dumb teenagers. But they invited me to a Discord server just to bully me, and they said their usernames and everything and even had screenshots of them being logged into their Scratch accounts. I used these to report them to ScratchTeam since they took our Scratch drama to Discord where they could say anything unmoderated. I was told that yes, even though they prove that they're from Scratch, they can't do anything since these actions weren't done on Scratch. Basically, these people could bully me all they want on Discord, but ScratchTeam won't do anything until they decide to take the bullying to Scratch. This was years ago, so I either deleted these emails or they're buried deep in my spam and would take an unneeded amount of time to find to make one point. There's going to be discussions of child and sibling abuse in this section, so skip to the timestamp on the screen if you don't want to hear about all that. That was years ago though. Times could change, right? I need to talk about NC. I'm not going to say her full username here to avoid getting sued because I wasn't around to see this whole thing happen, so I'm not an expert about what's going on, but it's the email I really care about. I'm also not sure her little sister wants to talk about it since she was the main victim of the abuse. There's this DeviantArt artist who draws suggestive art of children, including her little sister who's a minor. NC is 22 as of now, I believe. She also has a Scratch account. She does a good enough job not exposing Scratchers to adult stuff as much as she does on DeviantArt, but she did have this animation to a song about adult activities that, without wanting to say the word explicitly, included leashes and a certain type of dance that isn't allowed in school dances but is all over TikTok. She also had an animation of a childlike character flashing under her skirt. She claims that the character is supposed to be her, but her art style really makes it look like a child and she shouldn't be animating flashing on Scratch anyway. I emailed ScratchTeam about this, including all the screenshots that confirm she owns a DeviantArt account and links to her illegal art and links to her inappropriate Scratch projects. The Venga Boys animation with the gross dancing was taken down, but she wasn't banned or anything for literally animating suggestive material. Instead, Johnny told me I cannot action a Scratch user for their activity elsewhere unless we can be 100% sure they are the same person. Many people have impersonated YouTubers, DA users, etc. on Scratch. Ursa Johnny, you're running a site for kids 8 and up. How could you look at all the proof of NC being weird with children and literally drawing children in adult situations and think that it's okay for her to stay on Scratch? It doesn't really matter that she posts most of her childlike and stuff on DeviantArt. She's still at childliker on a site where the users are almost all minors. The relevant part of this email is where he says that he can't punish a user for activities off of Scratch, even if that user is confirmed a child-adult relationship supporter. This was 5 months ago. This email I was sent about how my activities outside Scratch was what got my account deleted was only 5 months after I was told that they don't punish Scratchers for activities outside of Scratch. That's the most ridiculous part about their reasoning. They admit right here that they punish me for something on DeviantArt when I have several examples of them saying that they don't do that. Back to the email. Brian attaches a DeviantArt post.
Firstly, what
Why are they on DeviantArt in the first place? It's really weird how they're supposed to be moderating this one site, but they're just lurking around DeviantArt and watching scratchers. I heard from other people I told about this that it was kind of stalkerish and creepy. I wouldn't call it too much of stalking, but genuinely, why is ScratchTeam lurking around their users' DeviantArts? I also never advertised my DeviantArt on Scratch because it's not allowed. DeviantArt does have suggestive stuff on it, so I definitely wouldn't want to mention that on Scratch. If you were an outsider looking at my Scratch profile, you wouldn't even know I had a DeviantArt because I don't mention it at all anywhere. Anyway, they post this post, conveniently cropping out the title of the post that says, "Please don't use Pigeon as a profile picture." Yes, I'm reaching a lot here, but nowhere in the actual post do I say, "Hi, don't put Pigeon on Scratch." The post said that I saw someone who wasn't me using Pigeon as a profile picture without permission, and I didn't really feel comfortable with it because she was my persona and she's supposed to represent me. I didn't want children trying to represent me when they have no idea what I've been through. I go on to say that the design choices I made when creating Pigeon was from my own experiences. Just the design, by the way. Pigeon has no other lore besides being the daughter of Lord Shen from Kung Fu Panda 2. That's also where she got her weapon and jewelry, since Shen was collecting a whole bunch of metal to create his foul inventions. Just because the design choices have reasons doesn't make the OC inappropriate. Pigeon as an OC is just an ageless character I like drawing because she's a mash of several animals I like. She is so new that I'm still making up lore and changing things about her as I go. I was thinking about her being a protagonist of some sort of adventure fighting game as well. Her being on Scratch isn't a problem because she's just a deer with barely any lore besides she's attached to Kung Fu Panda 2. A post where I say that I don't want people using one of my OCS as a profile picture or honestly using her at all for things isn't a reason to delete my account. If she's an OC I only want myself using. Fan art is fine, but I'm attached to her in a way where I don't really want people to pretend to be her or make projects with her or try to define what she is. That's what this post was about. I didn't want anyone but me using her because no one else understood how important she was to me. If someone decided to remove her bandages, I would be upset. If they replace her peacock tail with a regular deer tail, I would be upset. If someone gave her deer teeth instead of canines, I would be upset. I'd be frustrated because her design means a lot to me personally, even if it has nothing to do with her lore. Imagine drawing a trans person as the gender they were born as, not being the gender assigned at birth is a huge design choice that can't be changed. That's me with Pigeon. There are things you can't change, and when I saw that some 10-year-old was using her as a profile picture, I felt a little offended that they didn't even ask for permission. Anyways, to sum it up, the email was saying that my shadow was deleted because of some random DeviantArt post where it stated that I'm upset about someone using her as a profile picture without even asking. After this post, Brian says he chose to include this character in projects on Scratch repeatedly, which resulted in them being censored each time. The problem is, Brian, I had no idea what was triggering my projects to be taken down. The only message I got was that there were inappropriate images in my About Furries project, which had a whole bunch of my OCS and drawings of furries and quadrupeds. It shouldn't be my fault for not knowing exactly what was making the project get taken down when all I got was that this project was taken down for inappropriate images or captions. And it doesn't help that you didn't answer my question over a week ago asking about what was inappropriate about the project. I created that AMA project and decided to put Pigeon on it because I wanted to weed out which of my furries was triggering the takedowns. It got taken down, so that somewhat confirmed that the issue was Pigeon, but instead of just the project being taken down, my entire account was just deleted. Brian says, the pattern of behavior we have seen has established beyond all doubt that you are not willing or able to follow Scratch's community guidelines. I'm guessing he means how I reshared About Furries. I reshared that project because there was nothing wrong with it and I was mass reported all the time, so I was guessing there was something like that. Resharing isn't against the guidelines explicitly, it's only if there's actually something wrong with it, such as you using a song with a bad word and resharing without taking out that bad word. If it was taken down because it was mass reported and there was nothing actually wrong with it, it's fine to put it back up because a bot was what took it down. I am willing to follow guidelines and I have been doing that. But if someone from ScratchTeam actually looked at my warning history and saw that they were all from mass reporting and ScratchTeam mistakenly banning me, which they do admit in emails, you would actually know that. Brian says that Moss Shadow is gone forever. He doesn't say it's impossible to restore my account, so we have hope that it's possible, but he says that let's actually correct this. Because I kept being mass reported for a year straight, I've been shown to not follow the guidelines even though these mass reportings were out of my control, but no matter, my shadow will stay deleted because we were being weird and snooping through DeviantArt and banning you based on a post about profile pictures. He then has the gall to say that future inquiries will not be responded to. Man, I get that you realized you messed up, but silencing me because you know that you're making stuff up as you go and going against your own guidelines isn't going to make you look any better. I replied with an entire essay explaining how they broke their own terms of use by punishing me for actions off Scratch. I included screenshots of actual Scratch team members telling me and other Scratchers that no, they do not in fact ban Scratchers based on things they do off Scratch, which is exactly what Brian is saying they did here. The hypocrisy is unbelievable and so unprofessional. How could you trust a website with your 8 to 12-year-old kid when they make up rules as they go like this? How could you trust someone who snoops around their users' other social medias? Ignore the fact that there is so much adult stuff on Scratch.mit that they failed to moderate and take down, and the email showing that they're willingly allowing unproven child liker on their website, and how they send underage children to Twitter of all places, the one social media where adult content is allowed to be shared. And no, you can't be saying stuff like, well, the kids shouldn't lie about their age then, the parents should be supervising. Man, how are you expecting an 8-year-old not to lie? I was 11 and I was still lying about my age to get on sites, and the parents are irrelevant here because the parents let their child use this 8-friendly site. They're not expecting for ScratchTeam to be like, hi, underage kids, go to Twitter to see updates on their own website instead of emailing the parents where the email attached to the account. They tell kids directly on the site. They acknowledge 8-year-olds used to go to Twitter, and on their Twitter, a massive platform of weirdos and child likers, they post photos of very young children uncensored. And they say that they are in the Massachusetts Institute of Technology school, so these kids do not live that far away from this college. They don't realize how dangerous their practices are. It's predatory and disgusting, and this along with them banning me just because they wanted to, even though it's against their own banning rules, is why I don't support Scratch and I don't want anyone else supporting it either.